Ever wonder what it really takes to build a business and a life that feels like yours? Welcome to That Big CEO Energy. I'm Callie, entrepreneur, operations whiz, and your go-to for the real, raw, and unfiltered side of business and life. Because let's be honest, entrepreneurship isn't just about strategy and success. It's about figuring out who you are in the messy middle, trying new things, just because you can, and creating a life that actually fits you. From solo deep dives to candid convos with powerhouse business owners, we're talking all about the highs and the lows and the "why did no one warn me about this?" moments that come while chasing big dreams. So let's get uncomfortable, embrace the chaos, and make it happen. Hey, welcome back to the show. I want to start today with a question that might feel a little uncomfortable. What are you currently avoiding? And I don't mean the obvious thing that you've already admitted out loud. I mean the thing that's been sitting underneath your day for a while now. The thing that you keep thinking about in between everything else. The thing that you say that you're going to get to, just not today. Because here's what I've been noticing, and I want you to really hear this. Most people think that they have a time problem. They think, I just need a better schedule. I just need to go to bed earlier. I just need a free day. I just need things to calm down a little bit. But that's not actually what's happening. You don't have a time problem. You actually have a starting problem. The way that you're starting is what's stopping you. Let's talk about how most people approach their work and maybe their life and responsibilities. You don't think in entry points. You think in completion. I do the same thing. So when we look at something like, I need to build this out, I need to figure this out, I need to handle this, whatever it is, your brain doesn't go to what's the first step. It actually goes to how long is this going to take? How much energy is it going to require? Do I actually have the capacity for this right now? And if the answer feels like no, even slightly, you don't start. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you don't care, but it's because you've attached starting to finishing. And that right there is the actual problem. And this is where I challenge myself, and I challenge you a little bit, is we're treating everything like a full commitment. Because this shows up everywhere. Like, we don't just do this in our business, right? Like, we actually do this in our life, and we treat everything like it requires all of us, all of our time, all of our energy, all of our focus. So if you can't give it everything, then you actually give it nothing. And then that creates this cycle where things just sit. They sit in your brain, they sit on your list, they sit in your energy, and the longer that they sit, the heavier that they feel, which makes it even harder to start. So now we're actually not just avoiding the task at hand, we're actually avoiding the weight of it. And this is not a leadership issue, it's not a productivity issue. And I kind of want to shift out of this productivity advice for a second, because that's not what this is. This is actual leadership. And specifically self-leadership, because a strong leader doesn't wait for perfect conditions, right? A strong leader knows how to move things forward, even when there's not a clear runway, and even when there's not a full day available, even when things feel a little bit messy. And the way that we do that is to learn how to create these little entry points. Not the full plans, not the full execution, but entry points. And so lowering the entry point, and this is the shift that takes place. Instead of asking, do I have time for this? I want you to start asking, what's the smallest way that I can enter this? Not finish it. Enter it. And it may look like opening the document, giving it a title, saving it to your drive, right? Like that's an entry point. Looking at the numbers, writing just one sentence, cleaning one space, sending one message, and staying there. Just long enough to shift yourself from avoidance into action. Because there's this gap here. It's not knowing what to do. It's crossing the line from thinking about it to then being inside of it. And momentum is built. It's not something that we just find out of thin air. And here's what I wish more people understood, including myself sometimes, is momentum is not something that you wait for. Like it's this something that you create. And it almost never shows up before you start. It actually shows up after you start the one thing. So if we're waiting to feel ready, if we're waiting to feel clear, and if we're waiting to feel motivated, like we're going to be waiting a long time. Because those things are built through movement, not before it. And the identity that you're reinforcing, like this is the real work. Because this is the part that actually matters. Every time you don't start, you reinforce something. Not just a habit, but an identity. And you start to believe, I'm someone who puts things off. I'm someone who needs pressure to perform. I'm someone who doesn't follow through unless I have to. And that belief, it doesn't just stay in one area. It actually spreads through every facet of your life. But the same thing is true when it happens in the opposite direction. Every time you start, even in a small way, you're interrupting that pattern and you're creating a new one. I'm someone who moves. I'm someone who begins. I don't wait, I engage. And that is how you shift. Not through massive changes, but through this consistent small entry point. And you don't need more time. You actually need more decisions. At the end of the day, it comes down to this one thing, right? Decision. You're not stuck because you don't have time. You're stuck because you keep delaying the decision to start. And then once you decide, the action becomes a lot simpler. Like I think about like myself when I'm writing or when I'm working on a big project. It's like we have all of these things that we need to do, right? All these different components that need to happen. And especially when I'm like building something on the back end for someone, it's like all of these little I think of it as like a wheel with spokes in it, right? Like you have the center gear and then you have all of these spokes on a bike. And all of the spokes represents like all of the things that need to come to the center to make the one thing work. And so sometimes it's really easy to look at all of the spokes that need to come into the center and think, well, I need to be doing all of the spokes so that the center can be what it is. And the reality is that if you start with one of the spokes, you build on to the next, and then to the next, and then to the next, and to the next. And then by the time you get done doing all of the little starts, what happens? You've built the center. And so it's this deciding. Like once you decide, And it's not always easy, right? Like when I think about, I have kind of this framework that I have in myself when I'm building something. And if I'm building it from absolute scratch, it's like, okay, I know that this needs to happen before I can do the automations for this, because the automations need these things to be able to turn on, right? Like that is how my brain works. And so I have a little bit of a framework that no matter what I'm building, I know what needs to come first. But it's not always easy because some projects require a little bit more complex things that are driving it. And then other clients show up and they do have some of that created. And so now I've got to go in, do a little bit of investigative work, right? And understand like how it's currently working for them, and then kind of rewrite the story, right? So it's not always easier, but once I decide, it's clearer. So here's what I want you to do after you listen to this episode. I want you to pick one thing. Maybe it's recording a module for your masterclass, right? And you have all of the parts and pieces that are done. And I'm giggling to myself right now because if my wonderful human, who I love so much, she probably thinks that I'm picking on her, and I am not. I am not at all. So just know that if you're listening to this, dear friend, it is not picking on you. But pick one thing, right? Not everything, just one thing. And instead of asking, when am I going to do this? When am I going to have time? Ask yourself, how am I going to enter this? Lower the bar. Remove the pressure. Step into it, because when you start, and the way that you start is either keeping you stuck or it's moving you forward. And right now, you get to decide which one that is. So which one is it going to be? I'll see you in the next episode. Hey friend, thanks for hanging out with me today. If something in this episode clicked for you, I want you to shoot me a DM over on Instagram. The link is in the show notes. Let's chat about how you're making the messy middle work for you. If you loved what you heard, would you mind sharing this episode with a friend who needs to hear it too? And drop a quick review if you don't mind. It helps get the word out, and I appreciate it more than you know. Catch you in the next one.